Because things are developing so fast, technology is always ahead of the policy that's supposed to regulate it. What right now needs to be taken care of, or do you see on the horizon with the drones that is going to be changing in terms of policy?
Yeah, policy has been the bane of many's existence in this industry. Uh, the issue of not just being able to fly UAS for business purposes, people kept saying, permissions are coming in around the corner next year. Next year, I'll be able to fly drones for commercial purposes. And then they came around and they were too stifling for anyone to actually do business missions with UAS at scale.
Let's
And
stop there
then,
so people can understand that, though, because when you say about business, I think agriculture use, I think
yeah,
archaeological.
yeah, versus ag, two big ones. In the utility sector and in the oil and gas sector are two of the biggest ones. You've got the robotics missions, drones that are actually stringing conductor wires, drones that are using wires to do precision application of fungicide, herbicide, pesticide in agriculture. And you've got even drones that are carrying bricks and laying bricks to build buildings. Those robotics types from the drones that fly. So surveying in the engineering world is another big use for UAS in the business side. And all of these also even have, purposes on the military side as well. So, if it can do something in business, most likely it can do something for defenses. I mean, it was around the corner to be able to fly it all for profit. Then because it was too much, it's like next year they're going to come out with another regulation that means we can actually fly without, um, breaking the law, because everybody and their brother would have had something to say for the first set of regulations under 333. It was called Section 333, and now everyone's thinking for business, next year or around the corner or in a few years we'll be able to fly beyond visual line of sight, and that is the regulation that is where the manned and the unmanned pilots will really be more of a conversation, because the ability to stay up all day as a manned pilot can is just too much to compete with in terms of the economics or the unit economics of flying with UAS. We're better for point inspections instead of broad swaths of data collection.
Drones have such a financial advantage. And I mean, any type of value metric, whether it be human lives replacing medics on the battlefield or costs compared to like a 55 millimeter shell, though, because it's so money saving. And in some areas, like in Ukraine, they're being built in people's basements. How is that affecting the overall like competition of what drone manufacturers are doing? Are there regulations in the United States that are holding back development? And is the competition getting bigger with things going on in other places?
That's a financial question that can go in both directions. With the tinkerer in their garage, and you're going to build a drone that can do something the same size as an artillery shell for less, perhaps, than the cost of an artillery shell, and perhaps. Whereas that same, if you turn it into a straight up silver bullet, like a Switchblade drone that AeroVironment makes, and it's interesting because we've actually had these for a long time. They've had a long time to iterate on them with eyes and that accuracy and precision. So the ordnance in that sense, even though it's the same size, is going to cost a lot more. So depending on the mission and depending on who builds it at scale, how smart it is, how good it is, on either side of the cost of an artillery shell. You brought up that drones are replacing medics. And a very interesting article came out recently from Parameters, which is a journal at the United States Army War College, about how the Ukrainians are saying that they covet a KIA more when it's an enemy drone pilot than they covet a KIA that's an enemy sniper. And that, what this war, the single most important battlefield profession, other than a combat medic, which can be replaced by drones, are the drone pilots themselves, which to me is crazy. I mean, you see these comparisons to World War I and World War II, and the psychological toll that it would have taken on the people, say, in the Vietnam jungles or in the trenches of World War I. And drones are like the machine guns, bringing the advantage to the defensive again. But these drone pilots are kids. psychological toll that it's going to be taking on them to see an enemy drone. Because if you see one and they see you, chances are you're going to be running, and chances are they can fly faster than you can run. Just so happens that a lot of the times, the people who are best suited to be flying these small or building these small or repairing these small UAS, they're very young. And there's a question of whether they should be on the front lines at all. It just so happens they have this skill that's more important than anything other than a combat medic.
A year ago, we talked about how dangerous it would be if somebody let the genie out of the bottle and let AI just pilot the drones. On the one hand, you could hear how it'd be an attractive thing to do because you'd be saving those lives of these admittedly young soldiers.